Charge, good morning. Let's begin with a quarterback prop that you like on Saturday. It's Daniel Jones. Are you looking at him on the ground? Are you looking at him in the air? How do you want to attack him?
Yeah, we hit the ground last week, and but we're going to stay away from that here because we've got our most broken line of the day with his passing line over 224. Under 224. So Jones, and we'll mention in the earlier matchup, and he only played in the one game against Philly. The rest of their starters week 18. Jones threw for only 169 yards against Philly. So here's what I want you to do. Philly played 17 games. Guys, how many quarterbacks do you think went over today's line on Daniel Jones, 224, in the 17 games against Philly this year?
Oh, boy. The way you're asking this.
It was going to be a low number, 2.
I'm going to guess 3.
2.
Wow.
Now, okay, how about Daniel Jones? How many times did he go over today's number, 224.5?
2.
This year.
He said 4. Wow.
4. So we have that means combined between the Philly keeping quarterbacks under, Jones trying to go over. It's 6 overs and 29 unders combined. I don't know where this 224 line came from, but this thing feels very, very wobbly. And the inept Vikings secondary gave everybody a national view of how good Daniel Jones is. I think that's masking the real Daniel Jones. He's clearly improved, but I don't think he's so improved that we can't go under here. And also, this game plan should orient away from Jones. Philadelphia is a far easier run defense than they are pass defense. Philly finished as Pro Football Focus's 5th best pass defense and number 1 ranked pass rush. There's a lot of ways this can go wrong for Daniel Jones.
Okay, so you think this should shake out as a Barkley game more than Danny Dimes, obviously?
I do, yes. But
okay.
I didn't love the Barkley lines, but I really liked this Jones under 224.5.
Okay, let's go to the early game Saturday, Jacksonville and Kansas City. What do you think of Lawrence props?
There's 2 that I like here. I want to start with the over 249 yards. So volume is on our side. Kansas City sees the 3rd highest passing play percentage, 62%. They see the 3rd most pass attempts, 37. Volume's critical to hitting your over. Kansas City, as I mentioned, the 37. Quarterbacks who attempted 37 pass attempts against Kansas City averaged 270 yards. We need to get to 249. And Lawrence has hit 37 passing yards in exactly half his games. In those games, he averaged 299 yards. So just on volume alone, I like Lawrence here. He's got some strong individual matchups for receivers, one of whom we may talk about in a minute. And I'll give you one other intangible that I like about Trevor Lawrence going over. Here are the last 5 weeks, the quarterbacks that Kansas City has faced. Russell Wilson, Davis Mills, Geno Smith, Russell Wilson again, and Jarrett Stidham. I wonder if there's not going to be a little overconfidence here. This is going to be a little, and Trevor Lawrence is not Patrick Mahomes, but he is going to be the best quarterback that they have faced. And one other kicker on Trevor Lawrence, by the way, rushing touchdown, his anytime touchdown is plus 400. Kansas City's 5th is bottom 5 in quarterback rushing attempts seen, quarterback touchdown seen, and quarterback rushing yards. You might want to look at the plus 400 anytime rushing touchdown.
Okay. And who's that wide receiver you mentioned?
Christian Kirk, thank you for asking. Over 64.5 yards in this one. So we already know Christian Kirk's the go-to receiver in this offense. He leads every receiving stat category for Jacksonville. He runs 2/3 of his plays from the slot. Now, Kansas City 3 weeks ago decided to move their rookie cornerback, Trent McDuffie, into their slot as their primary slot guy. He's only seen 15 career targets from the slot. So he's super green. And in his 3 games as a slot receiver, the most capable slot receiver that McDuffie faced was Hunter Renfrow. He posted 60 yards and a touchdown. And there have been a litany of other slot receivers that have had big games against Kansas City this year. Jerry Jeudy, Tyler Boyd, Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, Greg Dortch, Christian Kirk. This same Christian Kirk, earlier matchup, 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. So if you want to bundle Kirk's anytime touchdown at plus 190, by the way, and that over 64.5, that'll give you a same game parlay of roughly plus 350.
All right, very good. It's Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Paul Charchian, Fantasy Football Hall of Famer. So again, back to the Giants and Eagles game here. There is a prop that you like on the Eagles side. It's Dallas Goedert. What do you want to do with him?
I want to go over 48.5, and I want you to consider the same game parlay with the anytime touchdown as well. That anytime touchdown's plus 210, which seems Dallas Goedert's really good, and that seems like it's a little out of whack to me. But so between Dallas Goedert's midseason injury and then Gardner Minshew showing up and just basically deprioritizing Dallas Goedert, he hasn't done a lot for a while. But that's going to change with Jalen Hurts under center. In Goddard's games with Hurts, he averages 5 catches for 60 yards. That's a healthy amount over today's line, 48.5. The Giants are a bottom 10 defense against tight ends in both yards and receptions. He's in those Hurts starts. He's topped the 48.5 in 2/3 of his Hurts starts as well. And here's maybe the most important part. The Giants simply didn't play very many good tight ends all year. So I'm going through their box scores, looking at what every tight end did. They only played 4 tight ends that were anywhere near Dallas Goedert's levels. And here's what they did. Mark Andrews, 106 yards, touchdown. Evan Ingram, 67 yards. Dalton Schultz, 2 touchdowns. TJ Hawkinson with 2 blow-up games, 109 yards and 2 touchdowns, and came back last week with 129 yards. This team just hasn't seen many good tight ends, and when they do, they get beat by him. So Dallas Goedert over 48.5.
All right, very strong. And finally here, an anytime touchdown on the Giants side. Who are you going to go with?
Yeah, I'm going with Richie James. I told you earlier that Daniel Jones worries me, so this is the one that I'm concerned about the most of all of them that I mentioned. But there's still some nice angles here. The Eagles have got 2 really great outside cornerbacks. James Bradbury, revenge game for him, by the way. Darius Slay. Nobody wants to go on the sleigh ride, guys. These are great outside corners. So instead, James gets the easier matchup in the slot against Avonte Maddox. And he's not bad either, but he's just not Bradbury and Slay good. Philly, get this. Philly allowed 16 wide receiver touchdowns. 9 of the 16 went to the slot. So if you want to try an angle here, you get Richie James. Anytime touchdown is plus 350. It's a value play for sure. Again, I don't see a ton of production coming from Daniel Jones in this game. But if you want a nice value play, Richie James would be the angle.
All right. Good breakdown. We love talking to you. Tuesday on the show, in light of the anniversary, by the way, just happened. But we did our top 5 losses we can't get over that still haunt us. And being from Minnesota, number 1 on my list was the 1998 NFC title game. Double-digit favorites, the Vikings, highest scoring team in NFL history at the time, 15-1, lost at home. You were at the game. And also, by then, I had given up on the organization and said they can go hurt someone else. I forgot about 2009. I mean, the Vikings, I think, turned the ball over 5 times in New Orleans. Brett Favre lost. Adrian Peterson fumbled in the red zone. But you were at the 98 game.
I was at the 98 game. Keep in mind, Gary Anderson had made, I think, 117 straight kicks, extra points, and field goals leading into that. Hadn't missed a field goal all season long. He missed the game-winning field goal in that game. All kinds of miscues that went against the Vikings. The Vikings in that year, 98 highest scoring offense in the history of the league, most yards history of the league. And then we get back to the NFC Championship game in 2009 with that magical season with Brett Favre. Go to the Saints, and despite all the turnovers, teams ready to win down the stretch. They have a 52-yard field goal to win the whole thing, and 12 men in the huddle. And now they got to back up 5 yards. And then next play, Brett Favre rolls right, throws across his body left, intercepted.
They have lost 6 straight NFC title games?
They've lost 6 straight. Imagine what that does to your fan base when you are a game away from the Super Bowl 6 times, this spans my entire adult lifetime, and you don't win any of the 6. And what's more, you get blown out of those games. It has been very trying for this fan base. Combined, now that the Vikings are out, by the way, for more futility, our 4 major sports here in Minnesota have now gone a combined 117 seasons without a championship.
Wow.
That's pretty rough.
Oh, my God.
17 seasons.
Ouch. Yeah. You can put 98, 99 Vikings up against almost any other loss for any other fan base. Honestly, you can.
You're at the game. The fans are chanting Super Bowl. Oh, it's over.
I walked out, and there were stacks of, everybody had their Super Bowl merchandise was outside. All these vendors and everything had to undo all that. The newspapers, Super Bowl newspapers had to be burned.
Yep.
Terrible.
Oh, God.
Yep.
All right, pal.
Visit VSiN.com to get current odds, listen for free, find showtimes, and download VSiN sports betting podcasts.